32 brand new anime released this month, and no, I'm not counting this 3-minute softcore porno. I'm talking every single anime that has released a first season this month. So things like Shaman King I did not include because that is a continuation of an already existing anime. I have watched the first and only the first episode of every single one of these anime, and based on those first episodes I'm going to be ranking them from worst to best. So let me just outline for you guys how I ranked these in my mind. I ranked it based off how good the first episode was on its own, and how much it made me want to watch past the first episode. I'm gonna be real, there's 32 of these, so number 25 could be number 15 on any other given day, but for me I think the bottom few are pretty set as the bottom, and the top few are pretty set as the top. Again, this is only based on the first episode, so number 32 could be number 1 for all I know. Don't take it so serious.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Let's get into it. Number 32. 'Tis time for torture, princess. What the fuck am I supposed to like about this show? The entire first episode, you just watch a captured warrior princess be tortured by being tempted by food. And she easily gives in and confesses her army's secrets every single time. I hate this bitch. I see no redeeming quality. This show actually pissed me off, which is why it's bottom of the list. At least the food looked good. Number 31.
スナックバスへ
This entire first episode, and I'm gonna guess the entire show, takes place in this snack bar, and oh boy is it boring. I constantly kept checking the time left on the episode. It honestly felt like I just stumbled into a bar and listened to people talk about the most mundane shit. And the animation style makes it even more dull. Number 30. Pon no Michi. Honestly, I was bored the whole episode. Most of it is just a few friends playing mahjong together, and I don't even know the rules of the game, so I wasn't following anything. The characters are all fairly uninteresting, and I have absolutely no interest in watching them play with other people. Moving on. Number 29. Fluffy Paradise. A young woman dies and is reincarnated by God in another world with her dream ability. Every animal loves her. Besides the main character being adorable, I don't really see anything in the show in terms of a story that interests me. It's not bad, like the ones before this, but it definitely belongs lower on the list. Number 28. Cherry Magic. 30 years of virginity can make you a wizard? Our main character Adachi reaches the age of 30 as a virgin, and receives the power to read the thoughts of people he touches. He soon discovers that his highly popular male coworker is in love with him, and Adachi has no idea how to deal with it. The entire concept is just not quite for me, but I can see a certain subsection of anime fans liking this. Gotta be honest though, neither of the two characters are all that interesting to me. Number 27. The Demon Prince of Momochi House. A 16-year-old orphan finds a group of demons living in the house her parents left as her inheritance, and they try and urge her to leave due to the dangers of the house, but she insists on staying for some reason, and it seems like she's planning on just being saved by them every time she's in trouble. I really don't know what her goal is here. The only thing that kind of grabbed my attention was the different demons that manifested. Number 26. Sasaki and Peeps. This is the only 40+ minute first episode on this list. And unfortunately, the first 10 to 15 minutes were just utterly boring. The main character Sasuke is uninteresting, even when he's introduced to the isekai world via a sparrow, and tries to covertly build a life there whilst transporting to and from that world. It still doesn't really hit. The first episode is 48 minutes and it still didn't do enough to captivate me, with double the time. Number 25. My instant death ability is so overpowered, no one in this other world stands a chance against me. Who the fuck makes these titles entire paragraphs? God damn it. Both a lot happens and nothing happens in this first episode. A group of school students are transported to a fantasy world where most of them gain abilities, and one of the students left behind turns out to have an ability that allows him to insta-kill anybody. As far as isekai go, it's nothing special out the gate. Honestly, this character, who's played by Zenitsu's voice actor, takes up too much of the first episode, and really dragged it down for me with how annoying he was. Number 24. Crushing Over Magical Girls. A show about an average high schooler who's in love with heroes called magical girls, but when given power, is instead forced to become a villain. And we quickly learn just how sadistic this seemingly timid girl really is. This might be the most shocking first episode on this list. There's stuff in there that I can't even put on YouTube. It's just overly erotic. Like this scene where the girls are changing in class for no apparent reason. And the stuff our villain does to the heroes is just... it borders on sexual harassment and rape. Well, it is sexual harassment. It borders on rape. If you're really into hentai though, maybe this show is for you. The only reason it's not lower is because I genuinely laughed my fucking ass off when I saw some of the stuff in here. Number 23. The weakest tamer began a journey to pick up trash. A 5-year-old girl is cast out of her village for manifesting a useless skill, and she begins a journey disguised as a boy to find her purpose in life. The main character is kinda cute, and I feel for her, which bumps it up a bit, though the first episode is very meh. She befriends and tames a weak slime creature, and she has this ability to hear the voice and see the memories of her past life, which gives her guidance, which is a unique touch. Still, doesn't intrigue me quite enough to want to watch past the first episode. Number 22. Villainess Level 99. A story about a girl who died in her previous life and was reincarnated in a video game, as the character who's supposed to be the hidden boss. Having played the game in her previous life though, she's determined to avoid the main characters and live a peaceful life. The first half of the episode has got you thinking the main character is someone else, so I kinda like the twist, but unfortunately the real main character didn't quite capture my imagination. Still not bad, just not too interested in seeing where it goes. Number 21. The Strongest Tanks Labyrinth Raids. An adventurer gets kicked out of his party for being a shitty tank, and after he picks up an abandoned little girl with an identify skill, he learns that he actually has some OP hidden abilities and he's a really good tank. Yeah, this story is just okay. The only real interesting thing is that the main character is on a quest to acquire a treasure that'll cure his sister of her incurable disease. Number 20. The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic. 3 normal high schoolers get randomly summoned to a fantasy world against their will, to act as the heroes for the kingdom and defend against the Demon King's army. Our main character, Usato, discovers that he has an affinity for healing magic, which is supposedly extremely rare. The episode ends before we get to see any of the training take place, so there's not much to judge here, and the show's a little too jokey in the first episode. Again, run-of-the-mill first episode, nothing that really stood out. Number 19. Mr. Villain's Day Off. For the concept alone, I give it extra points. It's pretty unique to follow the life of a villain when he has a day off, and by the end of the first episode he even proves to be a decent guy, even though his goal is to wipe humanity off the face of the earth and claim it for his home planet. It's not too high on the list though because it is a little bit boring, and the show would be more interesting if we actually got to see him do some villain work. Number 18. The Unwanted Undead Adventurer. A low-ranking adventurer stumbles into a dragon's lair and is killed, but continues to live on as an undead. His ultimate goal is to reach the highest rank of adventurer and evolve by leveling up to a creature that resembles a human. The first episode he's basically all on his own and figuring things out, so there's not much to get excited about. It's an interesting concept and he's gonna have to get back to town eventually, which will be interesting to see. And that intrigue alone is what keeps it from the bottom of the list. Number 17. Delusional Monthly Magazine. I genuinely don't know how to summarize the show. It's so strange and I don't even really get it. Maybe because I watched it dead tired at 1 AM, but it kinda reminds me more of a cartoon in style than an anime. I like one of the main characters, Jiro, which bumps it up a bit for me, but I have no real interest in watching episode 2. Number 16. Chained Soldier. In a world where only women get powers, a high schooler named Yuki ends up as the slave of the commander of the Demon Defense Force that operate in a dimension parallel the human world and fight demons as their job. This show would be higher on the list if the ability of his slave master wasn't that she could use anybody as a slave, but has to give them a fitting reward in return. As an 18+ show, you can guess what the reward is. Honestly, I was kinda interested in the world and it still has the potential to be a strong story. Specifically the part where the commander is intent on becoming Supreme Commander and wiping out all the Shuki. That story arc piques my interest, but the rest of the characters are fairly generic. Chalk another one up for the hentai lovers. Number 15. Tales of Wedding Rings. A show about a boy who follows his childhood crush back to her homeland, another isekai, and she chooses to marry him, making him the Ring King, the hero of her land who has the power to protect the people from the evil abyss. Decent. Everything about it is just decent. Characters are interesting enough, world seems appealing enough, and the sexual tension between the newlyweds is actually written kinda well. For an 18+ show, it didn't do much in the first episode except show a nipple, which is good. We don't need to see more of this.
Speak for yourself, dude.
Number 14. Meiji Gekken, 1874. A historical anime. I don't know how much of it is accurate, but there's a lot of political stuff going on with a new government in place, and those standing against them who feel like they've been shunned by the new system. Though our main character is simply on a mission to uphold a promise to his friend to find his sister, and gets caught up in the conflict. There seems to be a lot of moving parts here, but as far as historical anime go, as a history nerd, I'm not all too captivated by it, but there's potential. Number 13. The Foolish Angel Dances with the Devil. What starts out as a typical anime where a transfer student falls in love with the cute girl in his class, quickly turns into a show about a demon serving an angel in her undercover work on Earth. I like the change the girl goes through from sweet innocent girl to ruthless angel. It definitely bumps it up the list for me. as well as the entire show's general shift in tone. Number 12. Dr. Elise. A doctor in modern day Japan is the best surgeon around, her motivation being to make up for how shitty a person she was in her past life. Though when she dies in a plane crash, she's reincarnated in her past life. I really like the modern part of this first episode, but the prospect of seeing a doctor with modern day medical knowledge, living in a medieval world, is actually kinda unique and interesting, which makes me intrigued to continue watching. Number 11. Sengoku Yoko. In 16th century Japan, a young traveling warrior stumbles upon a Yoko and a Sendo, and whilst tagging along with them, learns that humans are not the only monsters that exist in this world. I like our main character Shinsuke, because he's clearly got the desire to get stronger and more confident. The Yoko and Sendo are also decent characters, and I'd say the world is interesting enough to warrant a further watch. Number 10. Solo Leveling. Before you all come at me, the most liked episode on Crunchyroll ever is good, but I wouldn't put it at the top of the list as the world itself didn't hook me too much, and it only got interesting towards the end of the episode when shit got serious, and we witnessed the brutality of the world. Though from all the hype I'm hearing, apparently the show is going to be goated, so we'll have to wait and see. But based off just the first episode, this placement feels about right for me. Number 9. Buchigiri. A transfer student joins a school where delinquents run wild, and runs into a chance encounter with a honky person looking for somebody to merge with, after our main character Arajin is tricked by his crush into a fight with a gang leader. The honky decides to merge with him, which grants him incredible strength. A very silly show in both animation style and music, but the hectic school setting they set up in this first episode makes me interested to see how our main character is going to navigate through that, especially with his newfound strength. Number 8. The Witch and the Beast. A pair of mages seek out a witch that is loved by her city, but that they know to be evil, and this first episode covers their conflict with this witch, and builds on this 19th century feeling world with magic mixed in. I like the world and I'm interested to find out more about it, as well as to join our main characters in their hunt for more witches. And I really like our two main characters, especially Ashaf. He's cool as fuck. He's cool as fuck. Please don't click off the video. Number 7. Hokkaido gals are super adorable. The most PG way to sexualize a show. A high schooler moves from Tokyo to Hokkaido and meets a girl that I can't tell if she actually likes him or is just the biggest tease on earth. Just for the sheer ridiculousness of how this girl teases him, I put it higher on the list because it is pretty entertaining to watch. Number 6. Delicious in Dungeon. The show starts and it seems like it'll be just a generic medieval fantasy type show, but as the title suggests, there's food involved. As our party resort to cooking monsters they find in the dungeon to save money and satiate their appetite. Honestly, the party each have a strong personality and they mesh well with each other, and I genuinely found it interesting when this dwarf joins them and he does a play-by-play on the food he's cooking. It's a weirdly feel-good show, the music reinforces that, and it just seems like the kind of show you can throw on for a laugh. The outro song is also great. Number 5. Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. A story about a girl who keeps reviving after death at the exact same turning point in her life, where her engagement is broken off by the crown prince of her kingdom. In each life she lives a different way, and the first episode portrays each of her lives, making it a pretty entertaining first episode. Though as the title suggests, we follow her on her 7th shot at life, where the man who killed her in one of her previous lives asks for her hand in marriage. I actually really like the main character. She's got a headstrong personality, and the way she has done something different but productive with each of her lives is very endearing. And so the 7th life already interests me enough to want to watch more, and to learn how she's going to save herself from dying at the same 5-year point. Number 4. Bang Brave, Bang Bravern. This feels like an old school mech show and I just really like it. The world is attacked by this alien mech species and our main character takes control of a strange self-aware mech named Bravern and saves the day. I like the style of the show, there's a lot of cool shots in this first episode, and the mystery of where this mech came from, as well as the fact that I'm already kind of invested in the world and the characters, makes me really want to see what happens next. Number 3. Ishura. Just the first shot of the world seemed so unique, like an ancient Middle Eastern village with a mix of magic and machinery. Much like Attack on Titan though, everything gets destroyed out of nowhere, and there's some seriously brutal scenes of slaughter by these awakened machines. Beyond that, our two main characters are interesting, especially this guy Sojiro, who came from a different world and makes short work of the giant golem that just destroyed the city. What makes me really interested here though, is that the end of the episode sets up the wide world in a very interesting way, telling us of other strong people out there who Sojiro can test his strength against. And just from the few glimpses we've got of these people, I'm very interested to see him meet and fight them. The action is great, animation is smooth, and voice acting and music is on point. Number 2, A Sign of Affection. A story about a deaf college girl who develops a crush on a guy and begins to develop a relationship with him. Perhaps the simplest story in this entire list, but it's just so wholesome. The main character Yuki is very cute, and the show does a good job of going in and out of her perspective on the world as a deaf person. Then the guy she likes, though a little too forward, is charming, and it makes you really interested in where their story is going. And honestly, I'm rooting for him. Just an all-around feel-good first episode that really made me interested in watching the second one. Number 1, Metallic Rouge. This cyberpunk-style world had me intrigued from the first few frames. There's humans, these cyborg slave things called Neans, and some sort of hidden conflict taking place surrounding these two species. What I really liked about this world, though, is that it feels lived in, and the characters all feel realistic. I really like our two main characters, and honestly every character in this episode, and I want to learn more about them, just as I want to learn more about the world. So much so that I put this at number 1. Just go watch it for yourself. You'll see what I mean when I say I just got lost in the world. Well, that's my list, all the 32 new anime in January according to Wikipedia. Make sure to shit on me in the comments, it really helps the algorithm. And we can have a good discussion about it as well. With that being said, I love you all. If you watched to this point, you're a legend. Make sure to like, comment, share, let's bring back sharing, subscribe, take it easy, and peace.